It is so early in the morning that the sun is still rising, so if the lighting changes throughout this video, that is why. But hello, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to every single book I read in February. I do have 2 DNFs to talk about this month, but excluding those DNFs, I read 8 books this month. And other than my 2 DNFs, I had a pretty good reading month, but I did have a reading month that was very reread heavy, so we'll talk about those as we get there. The first book I read in February was A Map of Days. This is book 4 in the Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children series. I never know if I'm saying her name right, okay, so I'm probably saying it wrong, okay? But this is the last book that I'm going to read of this series because I've mentioned this before, but I wasn't totally obsessed with these books. I rated this one a 3-star, which obviously isn't bad, but my thing was I liked it enough to listen to the audiobook but not to sit down and read it. I don't know if that makes sense to any of you, but to me the audiobook was like, okay, I can drive while listening to this. I can walk on the treadmill while listening to this. But when I sit down and read a book, like, I can't do more than one thing at a time, you know? Like, I can't, well, I guess you could walk on the treadmill and read. I've actually done that before, so I could have done that. But I can't drive and read, obviously. And I've spent a lot of time driving recently. That was kind of the line for me to stop listening to all the books because I was like, you know what? I read the first 2, like, physically read them. Then I started listening to them, and that's when I was like, okay, I'm not super into this. And I think for me, this would be a book that I would be so obsessed with when I was younger, like in middle school, would have eaten all these books up, and I did read the first one in middle school, which is why I like went back to read the other ones. I think now that I'm like an adult, reading about kids, like these were like literally kids. They weren't teenagers, they were kids. It was just, I couldn't do it. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't do it. Oh, let me even tell you what this book is about. That would be a good idea. So like I said, this one's the 4th one, so I'm more just gonna tell you what the first one's about because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. So basically, this is about a group of peculiar children, which means they all just have something a little bit off about them. Like, they can do special things pretty much. So like one girl has fire hands, or she can like shoot fire. I don't know if she can actually shoot it, but her hands are like fire. One girl can float, one girl's super strong. There's a guy that's invisible, and then one guy can see like creatures. So basically they kind of go on like an adventure together to kind of try to save the peculiar children world because something happens. That's pretty much the gist of everything, and like that's what I'm gonna tell you because again, I don't want to spoil anything. Next, I read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This was in my Harry Potter reread video, which the last video I think will come out this month. I'm planning for it to come out this month. Hopefully it actually will, because these are thick bad boys. They take me a little while to get through. But I of course rated this one a 5-star. I was rereading it knowing that it was going to be a 5-star because I've read these before, obviously, like I said. So I know that I love the Harry Potter books. I love this whole world. I'm so obsessed. I miss them already. Like, I didn't even read it that long ago and I still, like, I miss them. If you don't know anything about these books, I'll kind of explain the premise of this one. The Goblet of Fire is the book where they have a Triwizard tournament, and I don't even know how else to describe this book without giving anything away, because obviously if you want to read it, like, you want to read the whole series, so I don't know what to tell you guys. Other than this one was really good. This one was very fast-paced. I feel like most of these have at least a little bit of like character plots in them. This one had a lot of plot, at least from what I remember. So obviously I'm going to remember more of the plot because it just sticks out more to me, but yeah, I don't know what to say about this. And if you haven't read Harry Potter, you really should, because this one gets crazy. Like, towards the end, I mean, she always does that. She always goes a little bit crazy towards the end, but I feel like this one was like, whoa. Girl. Going along those lines, I also read Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. If you've read these books, I would recommend going to watch my video so you can see all of my thoughts on it, because I don't want to say much here, just because I don't want to spoil anything for people that have yet to read this series, because I'm one of those people that recommends this book series to anyone that hasn't read it already. That's how much I love it. So you already know I rated this a 5-star. This one is slightly slower than the rest of them in the sense that the middle of the book is a lot of kind of setting the scene for things to come, but I still very much enjoyed it. And like I said, since it's setting the scene, it's pretty important for the rest of the series, because there's 2 more books after this one, which will be in a reading vlog soon. But yeah, I don't want to say much because I really don't want to spoil any of these books. And there's really not much that I can say since this is literally the 5th book in the series, like, you know. But if you don't know anything about Harry Potter, they are wizards, and he's kind of like facing bad wizards in the books with his 2 other friends, and sometimes other people are in it as well, like fighting alongside of him. But if you like fantasy books, give it a read. Guys, it's so good. Literally love it. Now let's talk about my 2 DNFs, because I did DNF 2 books back to back for different reasons. We'll just get into it. The first one was Out on a Limb, and I had seen this one so many places, so I was like, oh, like this is gonna be fun. Yeah, I didn't like it, obviously. But I will say I only got 8% into it, so if I pick it up again, you know. But what I didn't understand, and I'm kind of glad for, is in the author's note, or I don't think it was technically an author's note, it might have just been like the little introduction snippet or the preface, but she literally, low-key, yeah, she spoils the book because she tells you the trope in it, and I'm not going to tell you guys the trope in case you want to read this book, but that is my least favorite trope in a romance book. I hate that trope. Normally, if a romance book has that trope, knock down a star. I hate that trope. I've almost never seen it done good. I have a couple times, but for the majority, I have not. I don't like it. It's just not for me. And so she says it in the beginning, like 5 pages, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give this book a chance. Like, I'm not gonna just stop because I think I won't like it just based on the trope. I didn't want to do that, especially when I had already got the book from the public library. I wanted to give it a try. So I did. I got 8% of the way through it. I'm trying to be more like gracious with myself in the sense of letting myself stop reading a book if I don't like it, and knowing that that trope was in it, I was like, the odds are I'm not gonna like it, especially when I'm 8% through and I don't like the main characters. It just felt way too insta-lovey to me, and that's not something that I look for typically in a romance book, so I did not finish this one. Like I said, 8% of the way through. Not very much, but I tried. Maybe in the future I'll try to read it again, but I don't know, because like I said, not my favorite trope is in this, and I would not have known that truly if the author didn't put it in the preface, which I saw someone else on the internet like talking about how the author had done that, and I was like, yeah, I was confused too, because why would you like spoil your book? Like spoil your own book. You're literally spoiling your own book. My next DNF was A Whole New World. This is a Disney retelling, and like this author definitely has a contract with Disney because she has a ton of these retelling books, and this one was Aladdin, and I got pretty far into this one. Yeah, I got 30% of the way through this one, so I did enjoy it enough to like keep going, but I realized I'm not gonna like it enough because I'm not super into Aladdin. I've seen Aladdin I think 2 or 3 times in my life. I'm not super into it. I don't know the storyline that well. I know it enough, but I didn't know it that well, and I didn't know it enough to really appreciate the book for what it was. Now, knowing that, I think that you would like this if you're really an Aladdin fanatic, because she kind of takes these fairy tales and makes them just a little bit darker. She puts a twist on it, but you still get the fairy tale. Like the beginning of the book was almost the exact same as the movie. The only difference was like things were starting to change towards the end, and it was a big change. I don't want to tell you just in case you want to read it, but it was a big change. Coming to that conclusion where I didn't think that it would really hit because I'm not super into Aladdin, I did pick up As Old as Time by the same author, and this one is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and Beauty and the Beast, literally my favorite fairy tale. Cinderella is a close second, but Beauty and the Beast is beyond, like literally, I love Beauty and the Beast. That's my favorite fairy tale of all time. So I had to give it a try. I did listen to this one. I don't know why I always tell you guys if I listen to them or not, but I feel like you need to know for some odd reason. I don't know why. But I did listen to this one, and it is, like I said, she does a darker twist on them, so it is a lot darker, but I really enjoyed this one. I rated it a 3.5 star, and I do think that she isn't really an author that you can read all of the books. You have to kind of pick and choose which ones you want to read, so I read the Beauty and the Beast one because that's just my favorite one. So if you want to read one of them, I recommend going with like your favorite fairy tale first, seeing how you like it, and then maybe exploring the other ones. Personally, I don't think I'm going to read any more of her books. It was fun and I really liked it, but I don't think I need any more fairy tale retellings. And she definitely has a contract with Disney because the cover has like the Disney logo on it, and it's so similar in the beginning to the OG like Disney movies. I will also say in this one, she is doing it like dual point of views and dual timelines. So like you switch back and forth for each chapter. You're in the past and you're following her dad actually, and then you're also the present following Belle. And it did get a little bit confusing because I didn't know that she was doing that. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like these are not adding up, because at least in the audiobook version, it didn't say that it was Marissa's point of view in whatever year it was. It didn't say that, so you just kind of had to take like the context clues and figure it out on your own. So after the first couple chapters, I was like, what is going on? And then I figured it out, obviously. But yeah, maybe just be aware of that if you're gonna read this as well. And then I got into my little romance era, which I filmed the next 3 books in a romance reading vlog. I feel like that's so annoying to be like, hey, these books are in a reading vlog. Obviously I'm still going to talk about them, but if you wanted a live in-depth reaction to them, you can check out that video. First off, I read Loathe to Love You. This is actually 3 novellas in one book, and she did it like that because the last one kind of connects them all together. But this includes Under One Roof, Stuck With You, and Below Zero. And I rated this a 3.5 because the couple in Under One Roof is beyond my favorite. I love them so much. I miss them. I want to read more about them. I don't know what it was, but I loved them individually and then obviously as a couple as well. Obsessed, and I loved that she started this one off with like a chapter on the future and then you kind of went into the past to see how they got there. I loved that. The other ones were pretty good as well, but I wasn't super attached to the characters, and for me, in a romance, I need to really be attached to the couple and the characters to be absolutely obsessed with it. Under One Roof is about 2 roommates, so it's like almost forced proximity. Why does that sound so incorrect? I think they might all be forced proximity, but honestly I recommend picking this one up just because Under One Roof was so good. You won't regret it. I will say Hazelwood is spicy, so if you don't like spice, I don't recommend her. I'm starting to get paranoid because my camera's about to die and I still have a good amount of books to go through, and I was going to tell you about my TBR for March, but we'll just get through what we can get through before it dies. Next, I have Hello Stranger by Katherine. I rated this a 3-star. It was pretty good, but I went into it expecting a romance and it wasn't super romancy. It was just not focused on the romance as much as the main girl's like development. But basically what happens is that she gets into an accident and she is a portrait artist, and after her accident she can no longer see faces, so she's kind of trying to deal with this fact that she's a portrait artist and she's really struggling to see faces, because obviously she needs to see the faces to be able to paint them. So you really follow her a lot, but then you do get more of a subplot of the romance. I think I just had an expectation for more romance in this book because it was in the romance section of my public library, so I was expecting more romance, and I wish I didn't go in with that expectation because I do feel like this would have been a very highly rated book for me if I didn't go in with that expectation. I also was just very excited to read this book because it was a newer release and I had seen people enjoy it on YouTube, so that could have been part of it as well. But I thought it was really interesting. I still really liked it, and I loved like following her and just her character development throughout the book, and like all of her friends, and her family is so chaotic. Next, I have another Hazelwood book, and this one I gave a 3-star. This is Love Theoretically. I say it like that because it started out pretty good. I was very much enjoying it in the beginning, and then all of a sudden it just fell off. I'm not really sure what happened, but I didn't love it towards the end. I actually almost DNF'd this book because, like I said, was not loving it, but I kept reading it and I literally had 30 minutes left of it. Like, I switched to the audiobook at the very end to be like, okay, how much do I have left so I can get this over with, to put it nicely. And I honestly think that it was just because I was not in the mood for a romance book. Like, I started this book wanting a romance and then I changed my mind. But Hazelwood always does science-based romances. Like, the people always work in the science field, which I forgot to mention earlier. So they both are professors, and well, actually I don't know if he's a professor. I know he does research and they're both in physics. She's actually fake dating his brother at the beginning, which is all I'm gonna say because that was like its whole own plot line in itself, which was so interesting. But again, like I said earlier, Hazelwood has spice, so if you don't like spice, don't recommend this. I keep repositioning every 2 seconds. Can you tell? But I will say something I really enjoy about Hazelwood is that since she also focuses on the STEM aspect of things, there's always a part of the plot that's like not predictable, because, you know, sometimes romances can be pretty predictable. So I like that she includes that science element to it and makes it a lot less predictable for me, and also a little bit more entertaining for me because I'm not fully obsessed with romance all the time. Like I said, I got so tired towards the end of this book because I just was no longer wanting the romance. My last book that we have to talk about is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. I loved this so much. This was a reread. I rated this 5 stars and I just can't wait to get my hands on the rest of the series because so good. This book is so good. There's, I think, 4 or 5 books in the series. I can't remember, but this one is a retelling of Cinderella. So our main character is actually what they call like a cyborg. So she has a fake foot, a fake hand, and like she's got wiring in her brain and I think maybe her spine as well. So like when she talks to people, she gets a little light in her eye that like tells her if she's lying or not, or she can like surf the internet through her brain. It's super cool. But the Cinderella aspect comes in because she was adopted and her adoptive father dies, so she's left with a angry, mean stepmom and 2 stepsisters, but one stepsister is actually kind and they get along, the other one is mean. So that's kind of where the Cinderella retelling comes in. There's a little bit of romance in here as well, and they're also starting to like allude to problems with the moon, because in this book, I think it's supposed to be way into the future, people are living on the moon in this book. So this one also ends on a cliffhanger, which is part of why I am so excited to get to the next book. I'm very aware that I'm not going to be reading all of these books in March, but it's very nice of me to think that I will read all of these books in March. Let's start with the book that I'm actually currently reading. This is Plum Tea Crazy, which I'm not a fan of this title. I don't know what it is, but not a fan of the title. But this cover, stunning. I'm obsessed with the cover. Anyways, this is a mystery. So it's these 2 people that see this guy, you know, get killed at a party. So they kind of like take it upon themselves to try to figure out who it is. But obviously there's also detectives on the case as well. This will actually be in a reading vlog in March, so stay tuned for that. Most of these books will probably end up in reading vlogs just for fun. I don't know why I said that like that, but whatever. But I'm only 72 pages into it right now, so it's kind of hard to tell. I'm not super obsessed with it, but I'm still enjoying it. I will say for the rest of these books, I'm not going to say what they're about because I truly don't know what they're about. Because I try to go into books blind and a lot of these came from the public library. So starting off, I have Made in Manhattan. All I know about this is that it's about a girl that lives in Manhattan and it's a romance. Then I have Anxious People, which I am so excited to read this one. I don't think I've read anything by this author, and he also wrote A Man Called Ove and everyone loves that book. And also people have told me that they really love this one as well. And I'm pretty sure this might be one of those OG book talk books that were really popular back in the day, aka like 2 years ago, which I obviously never got my hands on and never read it, so I'm really excited for that one. Then I have The Honey Don't List by Christina Lauren. Honestly, I only picked this one up because I read a couple Christina Lauren books and I really liked them, so I picked up that one. And then I also picked up The True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren. Again, I don't know anything about these books, but I do know that they're romances. So hopefully I'm in a romance mood because I have 3 romances on my TBR. Next one my sister gave for me to borrow, which I really need to get to because I want to give it back to her, obviously. So this is A Little Life. I feel like everyone has heard of this book. Look how floppy this copy is. That's great. That's a great flop. Anyways, all I know about this one is that it's super sad. My sister said it didn't make her cry, but it did make her feel deep emotion. I feel like most of the internet has been like, yeah, this book tore me apart. We're gonna see, but I do think I'm gonna read this one pretty soon because like I said, I don't want to hold on to it for too long. I want to give it back to her. And then my next 2, I have Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Hey, I match this one right now. Don't you love when that happens? Like when you accidentally match your books. I love when that happens. Like when I'm reading a book and I'm like, oh, I match this. That's so cute. I love when that happens. Anyways, I'm thinking I'll read both of these books in March because one, I miss Harry Potter, which is so ridiculous because I just finished the other books, but also I want to get that video out for you guys and like finish my reread of this series because sometimes when I'm reading multiple series, it kind of stresses me out. And I'm the kind of person that can only read 1, 2, maybe 3 series at a time, but 3 might be pushing it. So I gotta finish this so I can start other series, aka I really need to start Throne Glass. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Anyways, that was it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what other videos you want to see from me, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!